And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and...
Yes, 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 yes. Man. Oh boy. Oh boy. What can I tell y'all, man? Yes. We back in the building with another podcast vlog, and this is Raw Dope Podcast Vlog, and I'm your host, Sam 5000. I did have my blippy hook up, but I ain't got my Glock or safety. But man, we about to get into this. This is just has to be one of the most craziest things that has happened. Everybody knew this was coming. Literally, everybody knew that this indictment was coming. I ain't gonna sit up here and hold you. Everybody knew it was gonna happen. The indictment was gonna happen. We all knew that. We not gonna play like we ain't know this was gonna happen. But this has happened. Diddy has been arrested and held without bail. Held without bail. Man, never been charged in his life. Held without bail. I don't know why Diddy ain't just run, yo. Diddy knew they was gonna spank him, bro. That's some the shit that Diddy into now. And now, see, we all had speculations and was going with it. But hey,
in New York, they have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation.
Let's go.
They will continue to be invaluable partners to us. I also want to thank the incredible agents and analysts from SDNY who have also provided tremendous assistance on this case. I'm deeply grateful for their continued work. And finally, I want to thank the outstanding career prosecutors from SDNY who are handling this case. Meredith Foster, Emily Johnson, Chrissy Slavic, Madison Smizer, and Missy Steiner, and their supervisors, Jamie Backleeper and Jacqueline Kelly. They are members of the Civil Rights Unit in our criminal division. We created the Civil Rights Unit when I became U.S. Attorney. I'm deeply proud of their work on this and so many other cases. I'll now take some questions.
Eric Katursky, ABC.
Thanks, Nick. Damien, thanks. The indictment describes aggressive, open, violent, hedonistic abuse that you say was recurrent and widely known. Why did it take law enforcement so long to intervene? How many women were victimized by Sean Combs, and how many others were involved?
Well, our investigation is ongoing. We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long. I think the better focus is on the fact that we are here today. And we are committed to making sure that justice is done. Next question.
Thank you. Julia Ainsley, NBC.
Thank you for doing this. You said we are not done and that Combs did not do this alone. Do you foresee that there could be other charges related to this case?
I'm not taking anything off the table.
Janet Fisher, Newsday.
Yeah. What's the difference between the sex trafficking and promoting travel for the purpose of prostitution?
Well, there are different crimes with different elements. I don't think we should get into the nitty-gritty of the legal discussion right now, but the sex trafficking, we believe, they're all serious offenses, but the sex trafficking conduct carries some significant penalties, and we are gratified that we were able to bring that charge.
One more coercive than the other?
I'm not going to be able to get into that, but you can look it up, and yes, sex trafficking, especially when it involves coercion or force, is a very serious crime, and it carries significant penalties.
Good afternoon, Darla Miles, ABC7 New York. Thank you for this press conference and for the details. 2 questions.
Is
in
it?
context
Is it?
of this indictment and the information that was presented to the grand jury, are you able to clarify the number of victims? It's mentioned plural in the indictment, but can you specify the number of victims just for this particular indictment? And secondly, can you provide details about the alleged arson?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to provide either. The number of victims, you are correct. We are intentional in saying multiple. The details of the arson incident are limited to what we have in the indictment and also the detention letter that we filed, which contains more details than the indictment does at various points. But we don't have anything more beyond that. Next question.
Lynn Tran, CNN.
I'm gonna get into all my questions,
Are any
y'all.
of his accomplices or associates under investigation? And additionally, could he face any more charges?
So the investigation is ongoing. That means both as to him and to anyone else who we believe committed the crime with him. Next question.
Juliet Papa.
Hi, good morning from 1010 Wins. Any indication that some of the women or victims here were imprisoned in his residences, and did he have locations where he kept them, and were not allowed to leave? And also, he's indicted here, although there were searches and raids in LA, Miami. Why in New York?
Well, I'm biased. I'm the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. I think that we have an outstanding track record of bringing some of the most impactful, sprawling, complex, difficult sex trafficking, human trafficking, labor trafficking, you name it. The Southern District of New York can do it, and so we're very proud of that. And so the scope and complexity of this investigation isn't something that we ran from. It's something that we embrace, and we will continue to do that. As to your question about whether he imprisoned anyone, all I can say is that, I mentioned this March 2016 incident where something was caught on video where a victim was attempting to flee, and there was violence that was associated with it.
Was that at the residence or in hotel?
That was at a hotel.
Matthew Lee, Inner City Press.
Thanks a lot. Does your office intend to seek remand, or are you reaching a bail package? And if you're willing, how would you contrast this with the R. Kelly case in EDNY in terms of the elements? Thanks.
So we will be seeking detention. We have filed a letter laying out our reasoning for seeking pretrial detention. I'm not going to be able to expand beyond what's in the letter, but it contains all of the reasoning, and it contains the law as well. There is a presumption of detention in a case like this, and we think that's warranted.
John Anise, New York Daily News.
Thank you. I was hoping to get some more detail about
Share this video.
searches of his residence, the guns, the cases of lubricant, and the videos. Where were they found amongst his residence? Were they all scattered around the houses in one place? So I kind of wanted to just get a better picture of how that stuff was found.
Well, look, I think that some of the details that you're seeking are in the detention letter. So, for instance, some of the AR-15s, 2 of the 3 defaced AR-15s were found in his bedroom closet in Miami, broken down, loaded in them. So some of that detail is in the detention letter.
Yo,
Beyond
what
that,
up?
I'm not going to be able to get into where other items were stored.
Ben Kochman.
What up?
Post.
Hey,
What up, bro? Share this video for me.
The office was the office that had been prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein before he died in custody. I have not read your detention memo yet. That's the first thing I'm going to do after this ends. But does the memo address, or is your office concerned with Combs' safety in custody, given what happened with Epstein?
So we are concerned with anyone's safety whenever they are detained prior to trial. It's part of our obligations to keep people safe as well. It's part of the criminal justice system. So But I do not draw any sort of connection between Jeffrey Epstein's suicide and what may or may not happen to any other defendant while they are detained pre-trial. And of course, the decision whether to detain the defendant will be up to a judge. Our position is that pre-trial detention is warranted under the law and based on the facts of this case. And I'll leave it at that.
Are some of the prosecutors on this case some of the same prosecutors that had been handling that or that worked on the Maxwell case?
So I'm not going to get into the staffing. I will say that this
right now
of AUSA's.
this is a U.S. prosecutor briefing. I'm gonna let that play, and then I'm gonna get into it.
And they've had their hands full. Next question.
Gus Rosendale, NBC News.
Good morning, sir. Combs' attorney said that his client has been cooperative with investigators. He said that this morning. I was wondering if you would have a reaction to that.
Let me just say this. I think that generally and with increasing frequency, the word cooperative or cooperating has taken on tremendous elasticity and it no longer really bears any relation to what the word means when we use it in a very specific context. So responding to lawful process and the like does not qualify as cooperation when we use that term here.
Mike Sisak, AP.
Thanks. To that end, was there any discussion of Mr. Combs surrendering? I understand he was taken into custody at a hotel in Manhattan last night, and maybe that wasn't the plan. Can you elaborate on how that came about and why that was?
I'm not going to be able to get into any sort of operational details as to how he was taken into custody and when. He is in custody right now. He will be appearing in court later today.
Was there any discussion of him surrendering, given they claim he's cooperating?
I'm not going to be able to get into law enforcement tactics or operations.
How come they're not charged up for liberating Syria?
Well, I can't get into the charging decision. It is very meaningful to us that weapons were possessed, as we allege in the indictment. Part of the reason why this conduct was so pervasive and harmful was because victims and others didn't necessarily feel comfortable denying him his wishes, as we allege, because of the presence of firearms. I should leave it there.
Thanks. Last question, Jacob Shamison. Jacob Shamsian, Business Insider. Thank you. Given that he's the sole defendant in this case and that you allege he's part of a conspiracy that involves members of his companies, do you anticipate a superseding indictment that bring allegations against other members of his companies or other co-conspirators as well?
I can't take anything.
Share this video on Ray Get Lit.
Our investigation is very active and ongoing.
Diddy book.
And I think a lot of
Hell
people
without
who are
bail.
in this office know that when we say such things, that developments are certainly foreseeable, but I cannot predict them sitting here today. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So, yes, man. Hey, listen, I had to roll up my blunt, man, get my thoughts together. So, I want to get into this Diddy case. Share this video for me if you fucking with me. Get some people in here because this about to be lit. So, I'm going to get into more coverage and more stuff of what they saying. But let me break this down. I'm going to take this back 25 years ago. Diddy. Bad Boy. The record label. As a motherfucking crew. Far as I could go back, we fell in love with Diddy. We fell in love with Diddy at the point of we liked his music. He was a slick dude that was a producer, dancing in every video. He was a record executive, you know what I'm saying? He was the idol that, young guys, back then, idolized because he built a team. He brought, some of the greatest rappers to the forefront and had his hands in it, okay? So, in the 90s, the end of the 90s, you heard fishy shit about Diddy. All the way in the early 2000s, you heard fishy shit about Diddy. You get what I'm saying? Boom. Last year, the shit hit the fan about Cassie. When Diddy settled that case in 24 hours, right? I knew that it was a king had became weak. The run was over. The run was over. I knew that. The run was absolutely over. Okay, let me break it down to you how this goes. I do not believe in my heart and I'm a tight, I got my own opinion, Doug, that all of this shit was illegal, right? Meaning that everybody that was that's going to be accusing this man wasn't victims. Let's get that right. But the case is so big and overwhelming, anybody that point the finger going to get some money and make out of this, because he just can't deny nothing right now. So with that being said, it's a money go round. But now let me get into this, man. Everybody knew that ain't been signed to no record label. That don't even know the man knew it was fishy. Dudes was leaving him, not hollering at him no more. The Locks was beefing with him over money. Just a lot of fucked up shit that he was doing. You get what I'm saying? Brother love, all this stuff. But we said, we as the people still love Diddy. He make a hit record, we dancing to it, we laughing to it. Vlad TV. Pay attention, man. Vlad TV claims he's cracked the code on Tupac. Tupac and Biggie Small murder's been a mystery, right? And if y'all remember back in the day with the hit 'em up beef with Tupac and Biggie, y'all remember, you know, how it was going, right? So when you heard that Keefy D say Puffy put $1 million on Tupac head, that's believable. I mean, Tupac was very disrespectful. They had $1 million business on the line. Do I believe that? Fuck yeah. Why wouldn't he? It don't make no fucking sense. Like, you playing with me, I'm gonna show you who bad. Now, you know, all that shit was swept under the rug. And then this internet and this social media and this YouTube and these platforms were built to give everybody on the universe a voice. And now shit start coming out. Yo, the nigga Puff, just like the rest of these idiots, right? You know what I mean? They keep the evidence around to hold leverage, which lets me know that R. Kelly, Everstein, Puffy, any of these sick individuals that get caught up in this shit, bro, they keep the evidence. They keep the evidence. They're not fighting a situation where it's my word against your word. They keep the evidence. They sick. They sick, bro. They sick. And like I said, I'm a Puffy fan. And this situation with Puff is, and people might not like this when I say this, not going, like I still listen to R. Kelly, man. He's the fucking greatest. I don't know the man. You know what I mean? I'm sorry that what happened to people happened. I don't believe in R. Kelly's situation that man did all that shit, bro. I believe a lot of that shit was consensual. I believe some of the fucked up shit he did caught up with him, but I don't believe he is just as bad. I don't believe that he deserved 30 years in jail. This Diddy shit is so wild, bro, that is like, let me tell y'all this. Diddy's probably not going to get out on bail. And what I mean by that, if he gets out on bail, man, God is extremely good. He's not going to get out on bail because at the end of the day, when you're back against the wall, you get the talent. So they saying they got tapes. You know what I mean? So now they got to expose. They got to expose, yo. You know what I mean? They got to expose a lot of big people. Judges, lawyers, billionaires, bankers, music execs. So many people that we love today are in these tapes. They saying, you know, he's having co-conspiracy. People was all involved in that shit. You get what I'm saying? And most of the people that's kicking allegations about him are fucked up. You know, one dude won $100 million. He's sitting in jail. Like, all these dudes is fucked up when they coming out. Like I said, bro, if Diddy was doing this shit to people, you know, and they didn't want to be involved in that, man, Diddy gonna get what he deserved, bro. You do the crime, you do the time. Ain't nothing to it. You get what I'm saying? Ain't nothing to it but to do it. But in the Diddy situation, bro, they ain't gonna give him no bail, because if they give Diddy bail, he's allowed to fight the case from the street. If he fights the case with the streets, he get a little bit more power. He can get some power and get some people behind him. You know what I'm saying? He have a fighting chance. Behind the door, they can monitor all his phone call, all his visits, all his letters, and making sure he ain't saying shit that ain't supposed to get said. If he start talking crazy over the phone, they'll clip it. They gonna wiretap his cell. They gonna wiretap everything so he don't expose who they don't want to be exposed. That's one thing. He's the fall guy. Whatever he did, everybody say he said something bad about Ciroc, and now he in his ass. That could be true. You know, they say when you make it to the top, it's a weird place. to be a billionaire like with Diddy and Jay and a lot of these dudes, that it's weird as fuck. It is very weird up top. So now this man is doing all this shit and doing all this shit and doing all this shit. And I just don't believe, yo, like, everybody need to come from Baltimore, bro. Cause it's just some shit that I truly believe that you don't believe in keeping, bro. It's like keeping the murder weapon in your house. Like, these niggas can't be smart, yo. Like, yo, it did like, yo, they said they felt boxes of baby oil and lubrication type shit. You know what I mean? I don't know how much lubrication you gonna need for no pussy. You know what I mean? I don't know how much lubrication you gonna need to get some pussy. That's just weird to me. So, like, everything is just weird as fuck. I feel bad for his kids, you know what I mean? Because I feel bad for his mother. I feel bad with people that love him, that appreciate him, and doesn't have nothing to do with that, because he's making the whole family look bad with these allegations. But back to it, they're not going to give him a bail because he can get home. He can get home on the day. He can have people come see him. He can network without them. They can't hear and see everything that he does. He could get his messages out. He could write an all-tell-all book. He could say, if I get convicted, I want y'all to put this out there. He could say a bunch of stuff. You get what I'm saying? Diddy can say a bunch of stuff, so I don't think they're going to give him a bail. I think they're going to keep him locked up and monitor everything he does so he don't expose the truth. You get what I'm saying? And the people that he'll be telling it to will come home talking about, Diddy told me this, Diddy told me that, and it'll be another 30 years for another person to get caught up. You get what I'm saying? Money and power is terrible to black people. Like, yo, if you do some fucked up shit, and you want to sit back and watch the tapes, you sick, bro. You sick. You sick, bro. And I don't think it was like no underage kids or no shit in this. I don't think that. I don't think it was underage. I think these are all adults with these allegations. You get what I'm saying? These are all adults with these allegations. Diddy gave that lawsuit up. Diddy got weak. Man, everybody started coming for his throat. And I believe that some of these people Diddy fucked over. You know, I just don't believe everybody. Just how it is, it's just that bad. Once you're a thief, you get blamed for everything. You get blamed for everything. Shit you didn't even do. You know what I mean? Everybody know that. But, man, Diddy fucked up, bro. Diddy fucked up big time, yo. And everybody been saying that shit, bro. You know, everybody been saying that shit. Everybody been saying that shit, bro. Everybody been saying that shit, bro. Everybody been saying that shit, bro. Everybody been saying it. Everybody just been saying it. And it's like, if you're around him and this is what he on, you know what I'm saying? Like, it be too many yes mans in the game, bro. Like, it be too many yes mans in the game. And who am I to say nobody never told him? But when you the $1 billion man, I don't think nobody wants to be put off the team. Everybody ain't Fat Ham and my boys. My boys, you know what I mean? Niggas might say, yo, fuck that shit, bro. I ain't doing that shit. You know what I mean? Because we was raised up from the bottom, so we can't miss nothing we never had. And then to have a dude doing some wild shit, that's like letting a dude rape a woman in front of you and sitting there and don't say nothing, nigga. I'm getting the fuck out of there. You know, and I ain't never coming back around you. If I don't say nothing about my business, even though I know that's fucked up, I just ain't never coming around you again. I don't give a fuck how much money you got. Because one thing we know coming from the hood is you keep doing some wild shit, bro, you going to end up in prison or dead. So Diddy just did that shit. 58 years old, bro. Man, about to be 60 years old. And they getting these niggas when they 50 and over. They hitting these niggas when they 50 and over. Know what I mean? Nigga like Diddy never been in handcuffs in his life. Never been locked up, man. They just locked the door behind him. They just locked the door behind Puff, bro. Everybody that been locked up to tap into this live, they just put Diddy behind the door. 58 years old. You 58 years old, bro. And you going behind the door. Dang. Can y'all imagine that? A billionaire nigga going behind the door for some pussy and butt charges. Like, what the fuck? Then they said he was threatening people with AK-47. They done found the ratchets. They done found the guns. They put them with drugs. Like, they, like, what the fuck? Like, that shit, like, drugs and guns, what you get caught for in the hood. He got sex trafficking, racketeering. Like, come on, yo. Come on, yo. It's so many people. Did this producer dude on his ass. Like, dudes is on him, bro. Like, this is one of the things that's most bothering to me, right? What this whole Diddy thing is. You know, Diddy was quiet most of the time. You know, he came out saying that he was sick and all this whole little speech. And the Fed dudes just said, you know, they got the evidence going back to 2016. And one of the reporters asked the Feds, why y'all take so long to come do it? And then they said the Feds, the Fed nigga said that they got other people. He didn't do this by himself, so more charges coming. So I guess they right now interrogating Diddy and see who he gonna pull down with him. You know, letting them know Puffy done. You know what I'm saying? All the money in the world can't get you out of this. But this, you know, we know this person, that person. So I don't know, yo. Can Diddy become a rat? Would Diddy become a rat? My questions to ask, yes. 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 Yes, the way this ratting narrative is pushed now, Diddy can do it, bro. Diddy can do it and get away with it. Ain't gonna have millions of people that love him, bro. He just gonna say, man, he wasn't doing it and motherfuckers was doing it and he just was drugged up and the drugs made him do it. He gonna make some old wild shit up, bro. You know? But that's a hard pillow to swallow, being his kids, being on the team, because like your commanding, your chief, the head of the operation, got some fucked up charges. It ain't no murder, it ain't no gun, it ain't no rap. You know what I mean? It's a RICO charge on some of the nastiest shit you never supposed to get locked up for. You know, any type of sexual assault, misconduct, abusing women, any of that type of shit. You know what I mean? Comes with a, you know what I mean? Comes with a, you know what I mean? It comes with a stiff penalty, bro. And to do that over and over again is tough. To do that over and over again is tough. It's tough. I ain't gonna hold you. It's tough. It's tough, bro. It's real tough. It's tough, bro. It's tough. And you know what I mean? It's so tough to the point of, you know what I mean, that he killed his legacy. You know, and we all might sit back and laugh and say Diddy this and Diddy that. That's a black man, yo, caught up in this bullshit. You know what I mean? One of the dudes was at the hype of his career. One of the dudes that was just, you know, that made so much music and was doing so much fuck shit that it collapsed on him. And you innocent until proven guilty. But just some shit people not gonna say about you. A motherfucker might say, yo, this nigga's a nasty nigga. He don't like to pay people. A motherfucker might even slip up and tell a motherfucker, yo, he a rat or such and such. A motherfucker might slip up and say a bunch of shit. They might slip up and say a bunch of shit. But one thing for sure and two things for certain, certain shit shouldn't be said about you, bro. And that shit just sad, bro. That shit just sad, bro. That them boys have all that money, can have any woman they want, can have 10 sims if they want, and they put this in here. But let's see what these crackers got to say.
Return an indictment, the prosecutors. Because usually when you do a major search warrant, and as you just mentioned, they did a search warrant of his homes in LA and Miami, and I think one of them is 17,000 square feet. That's a lot of stuff. It probably took them months to go through all the documents and data and information that they gathered. But here's what I think about the indictment. When you have a RICO charge, and this is one of several charges in the indictment by the federal prosecutors, the RICO statute allows you to bring in a lot more evidence, a lot more events, a lot more witnesses than a normal case. And that's just for a defendant, that's the negative about a RICO charge. it gives the prosecutors enormous tools when they present the case. The other charges, sex trafficking and things like that, those are important, but when you have the RICO charge as the main event, if you will, you're going to have allegations that may span 10, 20 years, and you may have more victims that could testify. So if I were Mr. Combs, he is presumed innocent, of course, but these allegations are pretty darn serious.
So going off and talking about those 3 charges, initially to me, when I looked over the indictment, I was like, only 3? It's only 14 pages. That's kind of small, short. But according to you, it sounds like RICO could be a giant charge.
I was surprised when I read this indictment that it is so short.
It's 14-page indictment.
What that tells me is the prosecutors just wanted to get this indictment out there to move this case along. And, you know, given the scope of this case, 14 pages is nothing. I predict that they're going to supersede, amend the indictment, and maybe not add more charges, but add more allegations under each charge, as they say, to add more meat to the bones and have what they call a speaking indictment. A speaking indictment is one that's very, very detailed. It's almost like reading a novel. And a speaking indictment can be over 100 pages. This one is sort of a bare bones general indictment that I predict the federal prosecutors are going to amend, supersede, and add more information.
So you said they'll likely add more allegations, more information to kind of beef up their argument, but we still only have these 3 charges. And I'm sure the federal prosecutors are bringing the ones that they can get a conviction on, right? The ones that have the most amount of evidence against Diddy. Do you think that's why they only brought 3 just to secure a conviction?
I think they only need 3, and here's why. The RICO charge is so expansive that if they only use that one count, RICO, that would be enough for me. So they don't need 20, 30 counts. If they have 3 or 4 core good counts, that's enough, because that RICO charge by itself is an extremely serious charge.
One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you specifically is because of your history as a federal prosecutor. And I know we talked about the time frame. So about 6 months from those federal raids until now, obviously a lot of investigation during that time, but I'm wondering about the prosecution side of things. What were they doing during those 6 months to prep for their case?
Locking in witnesses, collecting documents, utilizing the grand jury subpoena, sending agents out to do follow-up interviews or initial interviews. They did a lot of legwork, in addition to reviewing the information that they gathered from the search warrants. They moved pretty fast. I've had 1 or 2 cases in the Southern District of New York, and those prosecutors, they're top-notch, they're brilliant. So they were working like beavers the last 6 months.
Okay, and it's all about location too. How does it get decided where this is going to be held? I know you mentioned the Southern District of New York. We know that Diddy has homes in Miami and in LA. He also was in New York. So how do we decide where all this is going to be held?
There was probably a big meeting in the U.S. Department of Justice main building where they got together all the U.S. attorneys' offices that may have what they call venue, where the events occurred, if you will, to allow under the Constitution to try that case. So I'm sure the U.S. Attorney for LA, for Miami, of course the Southern District of New York, could have been other areas, other jurisdictions where some event occurred. Either an allegation occurred or documents went through banks. So there was a lot of horse trading, if you will. And I go back to 9/11. 9/11, of course, had the towers in New York City, and it had the Pentagon, which is in the Eastern District of Virginia. The Eastern District of Virginia finally got the case against Mr. Moussaoui, the 20th hijacker. There was a lot of negotiation because the Southern District of New York, where the 2 towers were hit, they were pushing hard to get it. So how did Southern District get it? Probably some events occurred there, and they had a good, strong lobbying campaign.
Looking behind the scenes a bit, because you have a bit more experience in that realm than I do, were there conversations, do you think, between the prosecution and the defense? I know that Diddy's defense made a statement saying he had voluntarily moved to New York ahead of this around the time of the grand jury and he was being cooperative. But do you think the federal prosecutors were speaking with Diddy's defense?
You know, that's a good, Sierra, that's a fantastic question. I think in this case, the prosecutors probably did not bend over backwards to talk to Mr. Combs' attorneys to get what they call a pre-indictment plea, because they would be much less serious charges. I think in this case, given what I think is the scope of the allegations, and Mr. Combs is presumed innocent, of course, I don't think there were serious or significant plea negotiations.
That leads into the next step in Diddy's indictment, the grand jury. Obviously, that's behind closed doors. We don't know what was going on there. But do you have any inferences of what might have been said there?
Well, in front of the grand jury, they probably called agents to summarize the evidence. If they had a wobbly witness that they wanted to lock in, they probably called that witness. But in the grand jury, Sierra, just remember, you know, it's closed, it's sealed, with many exceptions, of course. And it's
deep, baby. This is deep.
And the prosecutors can't unless they get court approval. But they were probably, you know, gathering evidence with subpoenas, grand jury subpoenas, putting in certain witnesses, probably just summary agents, because you don't have to call every witness before a grand jury. Hearsay, the rules of evidence don't apply, so you can put in a lot of stuff, as they say, in front of a grand jury that wouldn't be
Number one moms.
So, good God Almighty. So they hit him with 3 charges. They saying with the RICO, like, that's the biggest charge of them all. So they saying they could bring so much evidence up against him with this being said. So it's like Diddy in a lot of trouble, and they basically saying the prosecutors wasn't bending over backwards to holler at his lawyers for a plea agreement. Like, you know, let's get this out of the way, because basically this former prosecutor saying that they would have had lesser charges to get it in and out of court. But this shit's probably going to go to trial because they want to be off from 20, 30 years. Diddy's not taking that. He's going to go to trial. But maybe they might strike a plea deal. That would be in his best interest to strike a plea deal. Maybe he won't get washed.
trial.
Speaking about testimony, there are a lot of civil cases against Diddy, a lot of allegations. We have multiple plaintiffs, some high profile like the singer Cassie or Lil Rod. Is it possible that they may testify in the coming federal trial against Diddy?
Absolutely. And
I knew that. That's a stupid question.
Because the RICO count allows so much in and doesn't really have any time limitations, you can bring in victims that may not have been able to bring criminal or proposed criminal charges. You can bring in their events under the RICO statute that may not, standing alone, been allowed in a criminal trial if it were just that sole count of, say, assault or rape or something like that.
From here, I'm kind of wondering about the timeline, because I know that federal cases usually move a bit quicker than state, but what are you thinking? I mean, we have this indictment now. When could this head to trial?
This probably won't head to trial until
2025.
maybe end of next year.
Damn.
Possibly in 2026. There's probably going to be an enormous amount of discovery. You're going to have motions. When you get a superseding amended indictment, that causes the trial date to be pushed back. So if you add additional charges or additional allegations under each charge, the court and the defense attorney will ask that the court push back the trial date. So if this case is not going to go to trial this year, and it would probably a 75% chance it will not go to trial next year. If I had to bet money, it's 2026.
So when it does come time for trial, what can we expect from prosecutors?
First off, it's going to be an absolute zoo. And the trial will not be public. It's a federal case. They'll allow cameras, just their photos, but it won't be public. So you're going to have a circus outside this courthouse. I don't think he's going to plead, because if he were to plead, it would probably be to jail significant jail time. He doesn't want to go to jail. So what's going to happen at the trial?
Dang.
You're going to have probably, as you just mentioned before, multiple victims, alleged victims, maybe 8 to 15. Number two, you could have recordings that the victims have made, either phone calls or things like that. You could have a wiretap where they wiretap Mr. Combs' phone or a conspirator's phone. I'm speculating here. And of course, you'd have a lot of documents, photos, and things like that, most likely obtained from the search
That
warrant.
nigga Diddy boy.
We know
Oh
from these
man.
search warrants that there was a lot of information that was taken from multiple areas that Diddy lived. So they obviously have a lot of information. How is the defense going to combat that? What sort of case do you think they could bring?
Well, here's the thing. When you have a search warrant, whether it's state or federal, the Supreme Court case law is so favorable to the government. The search warrant will not be suppressed unless you can basically prove that the agents who wrote an affidavit in support of the search warrant, willfully lied in the affidavit. So the fruits of that search warrant are not going to be suppressed. One of the biggest hurdles for a defense attorney in a criminal case is to contest what was seized during a search warrant. So if evidence is inculpatory or against Mr. Combs and it came from the search warrant, that's very powerful evidence. And it could be, I'm speculating, it could be videos that he took or videos that one of his alleged conspirators took. It could be photos, it could be documents, it could be, letters, things like that are in his handwriting or that he has adopted. That's powerful evidence if it's obtained by a search warrant.
Talking about Diddy himself, we really haven't heard that much from him since these allegations broke way back in November of last year. He made one small statement and then he made one video after that video of him abusing Cassie was released. But other than that, we haven't heard much from Diddy. I'm wondering if and when this comes time for trial, if he would decide to testify and maybe take the stand.
I don't know all the evidence, but
He should. He better
from
take
what I
the
know
stand.
just from the indictment and the news, I think it would be a big mistake for him.
He
to
better
take
take the stand, yo.
It's a big risk. Whenever you put your client on the stand, and I've done that in a criminal case, you are exposing yourself to cross-examination. And it sounds like a simple comment, Sierra, but cross-examination by a prosecutor is a very powerful tool. And if it goes their way, the jury gives a lot of weight to that cross-examination. I've experienced that.
We don't know entirely what either side has as far as their case, and I'm sure they're going to be preparing for months, if not more than a year moving forward. But just from what we know right now, do you think the prosecution has a strong case against Diddy?
He's presumed innocent. I'm going to repeat that again. I think they have a significant case based on the allegations that I've read, and that's in the indictment. Just allegations, but they have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So they can write whatever they want in the indictment, but when you go to trial, you do not put an exhibit sticker on an indictment. You do not put an exhibit sticker on an indictment. It means nothing. All it does is allow that prosecutor to stand up and say to the jury, Gene Rossi for the United States, or, Miss or Mr. Prosecutor for the United States.
We know that there was a lot of legwork already with the 6 months from the raids until now, and we're talking about this timeline that could span into 2026. So to me, it sounds like prosecutors' work is just beginning. They have kind of a long road ahead of them.
Oh, Sierra, these prosecutors, I'm sure there are probably 3 or 4. Their next year will be consumed by this case. Every day they wake up, Saturday, Sunday included, and holidays, they'll be thinking and or working about this case.
As far as a potential conviction, obviously down the line, and as you said, Diddy is presumed innocent, but if there is a conviction, what sort of sentence could he face? Multiple years behind bars?
Under the sentencing guidelines, which are not binding on a court, he's looking at significant time. Probably my back of the envelope arithmetic calculation is at least 10 years. At least. This is a very significant indictment. You obviously have a high-profile defendant, and when it goes to trial, it's going to be quite a spectacle.
Diddy was taken into custody Monday night, but maintains his innocence. A statement from his legal team reads, quote, Sean Diddy Combs is a music icon, self-made entrepreneur, loving family man, and proven philanthropist who has spent the last 30 years building an empire, adoring his children, and working to uplift the Black community. He is an imperfect person, but is not criminal. To his credit, Mr. Combs has been nothing but cooperative with this investigation, and he voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of these charges. Please reserve your judgment until you have all the facts. These are the acts of an innocent man with nothing to hide, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. We're still in the early stages of the case against Diddy, so expect more updates on the way. When those new developments do come down, we've got you covered.
All right, y'all. So y'all heard Diddy behind the door, man. Diddy got the no-brainer. Tomorrow afternoon, they going for appeal of his custody hearing, trying to get him out on bond. Trial not going to start the no time to 2026. They going to be riffing and raffing. He might strike a plea. They saying, you know, the lowest he can probably end up with is 10 years because the charges are so fucked up. He going to get a double digit. They saying Puff ain't going to cop out, but if anybody know, if Puff know anybody from the streets, it'd be in his best interest just to go ahead and plead guilty, get smacked over the head with the lawsuits, and just start over and rebuild his life. But if he go to trial, man, a lot of shit gonna get exposed. There's a lot of embarrassment. It's gonna be hard on his kids. It's gonna be a media frenzy. It's hell on earth for the next year. That's what everybody will be talking about. And like I said, you got the YSL case. So now, you know, with this Diddy shit, ain't nobody really thinking about the YSL case no more. You know, the YNW Melly case, like all these big cases is getting wiped out by something bigger. And I don't think nothing's more bigger than Diddy being charged. And it's been 6 months. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. You know, you gotta check them real deep dudes that dig into it, man. I mean, come on, Diddy. You know what I mean? What y'all think is punishment? Like, what y'all think is gonna like happen? Like, what y'all think? Y'all think he gonna get found guilty? Y'all think he gonna beat it? Y'all think he gonna cop out? You get what I'm saying? What y'all think? You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's too early on for me. I'm thinking with so much shit that they got on Diddy, that Diddy should strike a plea deal. That's what I think Diddy should do. I think Diddy should cop out. The smartest thing that Diddy can do right now is cop out. Get them, they say it's about 8 to 15 victims. You know, go to all them victims. Talk to them, man. Get the lawyers to get to talking to them, negotiate something, man. You know, people want some money. You just lost $100 million. So I wouldn't take it to trial with none of them. Man, you know, you caked up. It's about to hurt your pockets really, really bad, man. And you about to be gone off the streets for a while, man. But the best thing I feel like is you could just get it over with. You know, years and years of mistreating people and doing fucked up people. Like I said, the man innocent and proven guilty. Like I said, I'm a fan of the man. He's an icon. He's a music mogul. He made a lot of moves, but for a very, very long time, since I was younger, I've been hearing he was a fucked up nigga. Not to meet him in person. You can never judge a book by its cover. But a lot of people been saying crazy shit about yo. You get what I'm saying? There's been a lot of crazy footage about yo. He played, even with a Drink Champ episode, did he get to going crazy? But now, money, cars, jewelry, record sales, none of that shit mean nothing when you going up against that beast. And that's any court, the circuit court, the district court, or the federal court. They are beasts. They are beasts, bro. And you take it, and it's criminal court. They are beasts, man. The whole thing is to smack your head. The whole thing is to smack your head, take you out of the way. And I just feel like, man, I don't know what he gonna do, but I hope all of these years that he been doing this, he been prepping his sons and really taught them business. And I hope they business structure. And I hope that, you know, once their father finish with its lawsuits and get everything under, I hope they can rebuild the brand and just base it around them. And when Diddy finishes jail time and he's all over, he could just come back, man, travel the world, man, and just live. You know what I mean? Maybe he'd be able to tell a story. Maybe he'd ever do a biopic. There's a lot of shit that he can do after the fact. We don't know if he's going to start preaching. We don't know if he's going to switch to Islam. We don't know what it is to come for Puff. But what I'm saying is that Puff is in jail. I don't think Puff's going to get a bail. This is one of the biggest things on the internet. It's sad. It's a sad day in the community. But like I said, if he did do a lot of that shit that they saying he did, it is extremely fucked up. You know, the man got kids, the man got everything. The people you was doing that shit to got kids and they got everything. I'm not saying the man did it. I'm not saying the man didn't do it. I wasn't there. It's just only my opinion as a podcaster and as a vlogger to do that. Yes, he got a no bail, bro. He has a no bail. He will not be let out of jail. And like I said, I spoke on this earlier. He would not be, you know what I mean, released from jail, because I think if he's released from jail, they can't clock his every conversation. In jail, they can control his conversation, can control everything he doing. Home, on the box, even with federal agents guarding his house, he can get messages out. He can do shit. You know what I mean? He can fight his case better from the streets. They say it's better to fight your case from the streets always. I don't think they're going to allow that man to fight his case from the streets. I don't. And if they do, God is good. But I do not think they're going to let Diddy fight his case from the streets. I don't. It's the RICO. You know what I'm saying? You don't see many dudes fight the RICO from the streets. That's just not what's happening. And like I said, guns was involved, drugs was involved in these crazy allegations, because they're going to say he can bribe victims. You know, if he's out, he can do that. And that's a fact. Now, man, you got to look on both sides of the law. The prosecutors feel like he can bribe victims. Hey, if I was Diddy, I would be sending people in the middle of the night to find some of these people, man. And, you know what I mean? You know what's up, man. Like, come on, bro. Like, let's don't play like that, y'all. But what I'm saying is that when you a man of that much power and you hold the crown like that and you're a man of color, you can't be moving and playing like these dudes think they could play, bro. And then on top of that, the most disturbingest thing that I know is they got the tapes. Like, we from the ghetto, bro. Like, we don't run around with no evidence. Like, I ain't gonna lie, where these boys was raised at, man. Harlem, man, y'all gotta say something. New York, like, come on, bro. Like, Chicago, what's up, bro? With dudes getting caught with all the evidence. What are you keeping tapes for? You already, if that's what you into, you already did what you did. You already had your moment. What do you need a tape for? The whole leverage on a person. And there's so many dudes, right, that had allegations of him doing stuff with. And if they went in these houses and got them tapes, bro, that's why the man said Diddy probably wouldn't cop out. I'm saying that I think Diddy will cop out, and it'd be his best interest to cop out and go ahead and take the time, is because if some of that shit gets exposed on trial, good God Almighty. So that's the thing. If he goes to trial, he can be in trial. Everything's getting put on the table. They're playing dirty. They're bringing the gloves out. They coming to hurt you. If they bring the glove, if you go to trial. So if you go to trial, all their evidence, everything they filed, everything for all the people that's cooperating with them, that's not afraid to talk, it's going to be out there. So it's a lot of people, man, that's nasty and disgusting, that's worse than Diddy, that's more powerful than Diddy, that was enjoying these acts, that don't want this to go to trial. It's other people that know they was involved in these acts and don't want it to go to trial because it can expose them and fuck their family up and fuck their image up. That's why I think they're gonna come up, they're gonna sugarfoot this shit, and by the end of next year, before trial start, I think they're gonna reach a plea agreement. They're gonna smoke them in silver court. A lot of these people gonna go ahead and take the 10 million, the 15 million, or whatever, And I think Cassie got her millions. That dude got that 100 million. I don't think nobody gonna strike gold. I think all the lawyers are already prepping up negotiations, because the same way the prosecutor building up this case and been fighting for 6 months, they building up their defense mechanism. And I just don't think this should go to trial, because if this go to trial, two things. If it go to trial, Diddy gonna become a rat. And if it go to trial, it's going to expose a lot of things. And I'm just being honest. Diddy will become a rat, because at the end of the day, you're going to say, fuck it. You know, you're not talking about an individual that has morals and principle and lives by the street code of honor. This is not a street code of honor situation. So when people think about when Diddy rat, he's not ratting on no street level. He's rapping in a homosexual, sex trafficking, nasty, ignorant situation where all these nasty niggas gonna be pointing the fingers. So I'm worried about Diddy also, because me worrying about Diddy is on the sense of, man, they might try to get him gone behind the door, because he holds, at one time, the puff white parties, puff parties in the Hamptons was huge parties. You know what I mean? This is me being younger. Used to hear about them bad boy parties up in the Hamptons, Miami, and shit like that. This nigga big ass houses. Heard he had a super big bed. This is shit that you've been hearing about this nigga. So when you hear this type of stuff, and you be like, damn. When you think about this, you be like, yo, this is crazy. You get what I'm saying? So I'm saying to myself that some of the things that allegedly is being said, I heard about it not even being in the crew, and you heard about it not being in the crew. So with all of this shit bottled up into one piece, a nigga would get Puff hit from behind the door, because a lot of men and women involved that was having a good time. A lot of men and women was involved with what Diddy had going on and was having a good time. They didn't see nothing wrong with it. And these men and women hold powerful positions in music, real estate, probably Congress. You know what I mean? Like, they hold powerful position. They people with money. And they having a good time. Grammy writers, TV owners, all that. Fucking with Puff in these private parties and hanging out with him after hours and having all types of crazy, nasty orgies and shit that y'all been hearing about it. So now he's in a situation where as though it's like, damn, yo, I was doing this. You know what I'm saying? When somebody go on a guilt trip, like, man, I was doing this. So-and-so ain't getting at me. You know what I mean? He'll start getting that jail mentality. Ain't hollering my kids, ain't doing right. People acting funny. You know, you feel all that when you go to jail. See, Diddy and these celebrities never been to jail. When you get in your feelings, you know, I'm telling you what he go through. You get in feel. Then Diddy ain't going to go in population. They can't even have him in population. So he's behind the door. That's even worse. You know what I mean? Might get a guard cool with him. You know, it's Diddy. He's in a federal jail in New York. So it's Diddy. You know what I mean? Harlem niggas is in there for drug cases. You know, motherfuckers try to make sure y'all right, but he gonna be on protected custody. Ain't too many people gonna say him, but he gonna be in there so long, he probably get to move around because he's a high profile case. Because Diddy's a high profile case and all that shit. Yeah, that shit is when he come out the jail, but in jail, he got money. In jail, he got money. Long as he don't talk about his case to nobody, because they going to send plans to say he said this and that. They going to send so much shit at him with this type of case, because they want to, if he take him to trial, they going to want to crack his motherfucking head. And them sex offenses and them 3 charges ain't no Marilyn Mosley type shit. This nigga going to prison like the rest of them. So I would think, yo, if I was in that Diddy situation, I would never be in that Diddy situation, but if I was in a Diddy situation, or I was the dude that Diddy met in jail, I would tell him, I'd plead out. I'd play it out for a minute, see what's going on, laid back. Some of them people is against you, that's putting out silver suits against you. I try to clear them silver suits out for the next year. Everybody's going to testify against you to say that they're a victim. You know what I mean? You want to get their silver suit out the way. After you get them silver suits out the way, you could just go and take accountability for what happens. For what happened, and whatever they're going to give you, they're going to give you. You get what I'm saying? And you go ahead and sit in jail, man. Write a few books. You know what I mean? Sit down for it. If you get 10, 15 years, He got to sit down, write books, and hopefully his sons and them could just hold down the empire, because I think he got enough money to where as though it's not going to run out. They're not going to kill him. They're not going to devastate him for all of his money. You get what I'm saying? Especially once you get those victims out the way. So if I was Diddy, that's what I would do. I would really try to get them silver suits, try to get some settlements out of court, try to get some people out the way, especially the people that you know you did shit to. You know what I mean? Because you done lost 130 million already in less than a year. 30 million to Cassie, then 100 million to that other dude that's locked up somewhere. So you losing money already. Yeah, it's over. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's what it is, man. And some of them people are really hurt, and some of them people messed up, and Diddy going, man. Yeah, you know, the more of the story, Diddy going in. What I would say is, man, you know, go ahead and plead out and don't take nobody with you, Diddy. You know what I mean? That would be the right thing. But if Diddy goes to trial, it'll be big, like, you know, the John Gotti trial, the Jeffrey Epstein trial. You know what I mean? But I think this would be bigger than Epstein trial. And that's what they wanted to be, because I feel like they can't have a white man the head of the worst thing in the world. They can't have that. So, you know, R. Kelly for his legacy, and Diddy, you know what I mean? Like, and you know what I mean? And Diddy got like 3 times more than R. Kelly. Like, he has 3 times more plaques, like everything. So, you know, the legacy of his family, man, that is like, you know, that's what me personally, I'll be like, yo, I'll be trying to get those situations caught up. And, you know, like I said, you know, trying to settle out of court for some shit, trying to get the best plea agreement I could get, but also bringing up my sons, making some investments. You know what I mean? That's if he could get out of jail. If he could get out of jail, he can make some investment, put his sons and daughter in positions where, you know what I mean, his daughters can, you know, if they're not already old enough to go to college, they can go to college, and they could put the investments in the right way, and they could still have, because at the end of the day, that's what counts the most. You know, his children, I'm quite sure his mom and people like that are well off, but his children, you know what I mean, they have to be strong enough to say, you know, my father did this with me. And then, you know, some of the allegations, you know, rumors said that, you know, his kids involved, but I just hope, you know, they just be unnamed co-conspirators, and they never bother them and let them have a life. And I hope that I hope they take heed from what their father went through, and don't ever try that at home. You know what I mean? If that's what he was into, don't ever try that at home, man. People will let that shit happen and think, and you know, money only can protect you but so much. Money makes 90% of the things happen, but 10%, some things money can't buy. You know what I mean? You know that sometimes the money can't buy the courts. The money can't buy, you know, buy you out of death, out of dying, you know, bad disease. Money can't buy you out of every situation. You know what I mean? Those cheap situations, money can buy you out, but certain situations, man, only God can help you. You know, in all situations, only God can help you. But I'm just saying, some situations, your money could just overpower shit. And in this situation, I think he need to settle a lot of them silver suits. And I think he need to plead out. And if he allowed to get bond, I doubt if he get bond. I could be wrong. If he get bail, I will really be working on my children and working on, you know, the next thing, and getting with some tech companies, and, you know, hiring some good people, because I know the man know good people, getting with some tech companies, putting some money where it need to be at. You know what I mean? For the future of his family and for his future. But old man Diddy gonna lay down for a while. You know what I'm saying? He gonna have that OJ thing going on. He going to jail, man. And then, you know, it'll be quiet. His name won't be mentioned no more. It'll be more stuff going on. And the Puff story will be over with. It will be talked about forever, but it won't be a big thing, because then it'll be the next black man or the next situation to happen that it'll be bigger than life. You know what I mean? So overall, like, Diddy smack with this shit, bro. And it's a long time coming for this. Some people are happy that this happening to him. Some people are hurt and disappointed. But like I said, if he was doing this stuff that they accusing him of doing, I have nothing. I have nothing for him. You know what I'm saying? But if He didn't do all the shit he's saying, and a lot of people was with that shit until they didn't have their way. I think that's fucked up. You get what I'm saying? Because people could be with something and not have their way. Like I said, a lot of people was probably angry, gave Cassidy this money, and didn't never look out for them. So a lot of people might have came that way with him. And, you know, I don't know, man. You get what I'm saying? But it's like, damn, bro. You know what I mean? And they saying with this RICO law, they can go back 20, 30 years ago where victims could come out. They might not, you know, be pressing charges, he was saying, but their statements and their testimony will mean a lot in court to help them convict them. You know what I mean? And we talking about a trial that could take 3, 4 months, maybe a year. That might be another long blown out trial, but it'll be a long time before it go to trial. Basically, that's what they saying. And they saying they put their heavy hitter prosecutors on it. And you know what I mean? And in that New York courthouse, man, that 7th District New York courthouse, man, they been infamous. They been knocking shit off. They been bringing shit. They brought out Chapo here. They brought Kells there. They bringing a lot of dudes there to handle them. You know what I mean? That's a vicious courthouse. They bringing a lot of dudes there to handle them. So, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Just to be a billionaire, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, I know every man, you know, from my community and every community around the world, even the suburbs, area, touch jail. But I used to always think when you got everything in the world, you know, a nigga done went to jail when he had some money, but when you just a big ass celebrity with everybody in this bitch know you but don't know you, that's a hell of a way to sit in there, bro. That's a hell of a way just to be regular, like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, this nasty, you know, thing that them niggas be involved in, they didn't think that it had a due date. They didn't think that it had an end date. God don't like ugly, and it was written. So I'm just saying, man, like, good God Almighty. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Like, brother, like, come on. So it's so much stuff that's been going on, man. And, man, like, our people has been busting these news stations open. Our people has been glowing, you know what I mean, for the last 4 years straight. We've been killing the news. I guess they ran out of so many ghetto boys and girls to arrest and so much shit, man. They in that motherfucking music industry, that entertainment, that business. They in them people business. They in them people business. There's a lot of dudes, man, that made it out the hood and start making money that was bigger than the hood that's literally getting locked up and catching hella time in jail. It's not understanding to me. You know what I mean? It make me scared to be a part of that. You know what I mean? It make you like, yo, I don't want to be a part of that shit. Like, that shit come with too much. That shit come with too much. Like, you want to get your little bit of money. Like, you know, you definitely want to just stay behind the scenes with that shit because, good God Almighty, man, Puffy just been around for so long. It's like, damn, who else? Like, if they took Cows, they took Cass, they take so many people that got a big name in our community, or so many people that have a big name in our community, let that shit go to the head and just start doing shit that's fucked up and never think they gonna get caught. They just think they so rich and so accepted in the community that they never gonna get caught. And now Diddy gotta sit in prison, bro. Well, pre-trial, in a cell, 3 hots and a cot, bro. Even if the CEO bring you food and shit every day, like, you got somebody handling your food, got to go through all this, like, yo, that ain't the life. I'm saying this ain't the life coming from the ghetto, but just him and, man, like, you did all that fucked up shit to them people if you did that. And like I said, bro, some of the shit I believe, bro, I do, honestly, and just some shit I don't. I just believe that, you know, 60% of that shit made up shit, 40% of that shit about right. You know what I mean? You know, people take things too far in life. And I believe in his situation, some of these allegations are being took too far. Some of these people was involved in it and they didn't get what they want out the deal. So now they coming back and they feel like, yo, you did this to me. Or, you know what I mean? Like a girl, you know what I mean? You fucked me, you ain't do right. Yo, she tried to get you wrong. You know what I mean? It happens. So I believe that it's like 60% of that shit is going to be a bunch of shit. But them tapes is a part of the 40%. You know what I'm saying? They saying they got evidence. And one thing we know, you know what I mean, coming from the hood, is them FBI people don't come unless they got concrete evidence. You know what I mean? Them FBI people don't come unless they got concrete evidence, bro. And Southern District of New York ain't come to play. You know what I mean? That's one of the powerfulest courthouses. You know, every courthouse in America is a crucifying place. You get crucified in them places, but that Southern District of New York and that California courthouse, bro, you see your heroes drown in shame. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, you know, we see our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and good friends and aunts and uncles and granddaddies and grandmothers go down in these these federal courts. You know, that's a fact. You know, people get locked up every day. It's a group of niggas that got locked up for some serious shit every day. But for somebody to make it to the elite level and that's been away from poverty longer than some people been living and to get caught up in this nasty shit is just ultimately crazy, bro. That's crazy work. The community is forever hit. You know what I mean? I'm making content about this because just want to talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you forever, you know, we forever taking hits in our community, bro, that make us look bad. It's like, yo, we can't get a bunch of money and treat people normal and just do service to humanity and just live a good life. We always getting caught up in thinking that we got this power and getting caught up in this thing that people of other cultures with power introduce us to, and we become a part of this, and then dudes abuse that shit and they take the hit. Puffy know a lot of people. Puffy put millions in a lot of these big dogs' pockets. Puffy party and did some wild shit with a lot of people in power. If Puffy goes to trial, a lot of people will be exposed. So if you ask me, Puff gonna get a plea deal, or Puff might end up like we know all the greats end up. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, bro. That walls will start talking to him. That wall, and I doubt if they want them in population. You get what I'm saying? They gonna feel like, yo, you too rich to be in population. You could be a big influence. You could send everybody money. You know what I'm saying? It's too much he could do. It's just too much he can do. But like I said, his visits and phone calls gonna be heavily monitored. They gonna be in his ass. They gonna harass this man so goddamn bad that he ain't gonna never forget this if he get out of jail. And if he facing R. Kelly time, fuck yeah. Nah, man, Cal's got, what, 30 years in jail? Like, I ain't even think you get somebody, you know, that old in jail. They ain't even giving real live pedophiles that type shit. But, you know, they gonna make it hard on the black man. But that's just my take on it, man. Diddy arrested, held without bail. He has an appeal bail hearing tomorrow. He's hit with 3 charges, the most serious charges, the RICO. The RICO spreads are widespread. They can bring up so many other shit with the RICO. The RICO come with 1 million pages. The indictment is actually only 14 pages. They said more pages can be added, but it's just, you know, everybody's surprised that it's not that many pages. But they said because it's going to take so long for the trial, more shit can be added to it. But they hit him with 3 of the most serious charges, and that's it. Do I think he's going to get a bail? No. The reason why, because he's heavy influence. He can fight from the streets. He can expose some shit. They need to keep him monitored. They need to keep him watched. You know what I mean? I don't want to see no man behind the door. Some people that deserve to be behind the door. But because he don't have a criminal background and never been locked up, I think the man should get a bail and be able to fight it from the streets. But who am I? I'm no state's attorney. I'm no prosecutor, no bail bondsman. I'm no lawyer. I'm just a fan that, you know what I mean, and a YouTuber that's just reporting on this. But I'm just saying, Diddy in a lot of hot water. It's going to be a long time before he get out. And you know what I'm saying? We're going to see if that money make it do what it do. But if that shit go to trial, a lot of people won't get exposed. I don't think he's going to go to trial. I think he's going to plead out and get smacked with all these shits. They're going to take a couple more $100 million from him. They're going to hurt him real bad. He's going to have to come out and do a whole bunch of shit and regroup. And that'll be the year 30-something.